rally.
Told them to go in and do that.
And then he walked it back immediately. Let's be clear. When you look at all... When you look at...
Sorry, good. I am going to debate Dylan Burns and Liberal Cluck on Ray Epps and maybe other topics. So, and as I mentioned in my short earlier, if you saw it, Dylan Burns is joining us from Ukraine, literally 3 a.m. From Ukraine, from a war zone, to debate little old Dronetek here. So I appreciate him being here, and I hope all of you enjoy this tonight. We also, I mentioned we have Liberal Cluck as well. And in just a minute, we're going to get going here. I'm just kind of looking over things, and I am going to bring them in right this moment. 1 second. Bam. Bam. Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Right. Very tired, but happy to be here.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being here, Dylan. I know it's 3 a.m. over there, and you've been hard at work in a war zone. So we appreciate it.
No problem, man.
And so I brought these guys on tonight just because, for one, I was bored, and for another, because this Ray Epps topics really got me animated. I watched the 60 Minutes episode just a few days ago. Like many of you, I put out a video of it 2 days ago, and I just felt like the whole thing was such blatant, just I hate to say things like gaslighting, propaganda, all these kind of words, but that's what it was. It was just, you must be stupid to buy what they're saying. And if I'm wrong in all this, I do actually have another explanation, which we will discuss if it comes to that. But for now, I want to talk about the possibility that Ray Epps was some sort of government agent, not necessarily an FBI agent, but somehow working for the government to incite a riot on January 6th for the purposes of propaganda, take advantage of a large protest they already knew was going to take place, and took advantage of that for the purposes of propaganda. And I'm going to talk about that tonight with Dylan Burns and Liberal Cluck. We'll go ahead and start with Dylan Burns. Do you just want to kind of introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Dylan Burns. I'm an amateur war reporter, field reporter, really, reporting on the ground in Ukraine. I also do political commentary. You can find my journalistic content on Dylan Burns TV. You can find my live stream content. I upload twice daily on DylanBurnsLIVE. My channel was recently unbanned after it was banned for illegal activity by YouTube for whatever reason. I don't know why. But when it comes to whether Ray Epps is a federal agent, I mean, I am not going to say that I 100% know that Ray Epps is not a federal agent, because I don't know. And it's not like the feds will tell you, hello, this is a federal agent. He's a nice guy because he's a federal agent. And so cool. They don't tell you. But if he is a federal agent, he's not that good. And I feel like there's a lot of other explanations. When we talk about the things that Ray Epps did, like when he said online that he orchestrated it, and the type of rhetoric he engaged with in the day before when he's saying we should go into the Capitol tomorrow, I think a lot of this can be explained by the fact that most of the people who went to the rally, the January 6th rally, I would not call extremely politically intelligent or just intelligent altogether. They were there because they had been duped onto the idea that Donald Trump had the election stolen from him. Not all of them. Some of them maybe could have a more nuanced view, but when it came to Ray Epps, that's what he believed. He believed that the election was stolen, even though there was no substantial evidence for it. And so it's not hard for me to believe that somebody who could be duped into something like that, and I don't find extremely politically intelligent, could say a bunch of stupid things leading up to what it became an extremely politically divisive night in American history. As far as I know, he never entered the United States Capitol. He never engaged in violence on the day of. I think the most you could possibly get him on, if you wanted to charge him on anything, would maybe be incitement on the day before, and then the day of he said we need to go to the Capitol. Which it's
in the Capitol.
I don't know if he said we need to go in the Capitol. He said that the day before, on I think January 5th, that we needed to go in the Capitol. But on January 6th, right, he said we have to go to the Capitol. Which, if we're going to get him on incitement for saying it the day before, I guess you could try to, but I don't think you're going to get much on him, and I don't know how a judge is going to view that. And that's what ultimately the FBI decided. They had him on his poster out there. They took it down after they had a sit-down conversation with the man. So I think odds are he's not a federal agent. I don't think it's impossible, but if he is a Fed, he's also a really bad one, where he's texting people, I orchestrated that. And as somebody who has known Feds and grew up in the DC area and actually knows the people who do this type of work, that's not how you do it.
All right. Thanks, Dylan. What do you think, Cluck?
Hi, I'm Liberal Cluck. I am the old common enemy of the Dronetek server. Nemesis of Ramon. I don't know if any of y'all know him.
Is he around? I don't know if he's around still.
He's not around. I kicked him out of my server. I couldn't stand him. But as for Ray Epps, I just none of the evidence that's been presented to me to insinuate that he is a Fed is convincing. But maybe Dronetek has something here that I haven't seen yet, and I'm going to be screaming on top of the rooftops that Ray Epps is a Fed by the end of this.
So I think we talked a little bit about this before. So here's my main thing. So we have this guy who is on video during this 60 Minutes interview. They made a lot of weird points. I thought they were weird points that they made, and I thought they actually made more of a case for our side. But he's out there. He stands out very much because he's a big, tall dude. He's in full camo, which there weren't a lot of people that, I don't know if there was anybody else there in full camo like he was. I don't think there was anybody.
There was
else.
a lot of people LARPing as a lot of things. I was there, so
there were.
I saw it.
I saw other people.
Like,
I was there
in like desert camo.
I think I saw a few people in camo, but there wasn't a lot of people in camo.
All right, so like he's big, like 6'4" dude, desert camo, which stands out, red hat, which is interesting to me. So if there are other agents there, they can easily spot him. He's out there the night before telling people to go to the Capitol, and we got to go into the Capitol the next day. That's a good point. I haven't actually paid that close of attention, I guess, to know if he told people to go in the Capitol on the day. But you're right. He would definitely, there's that video of him telling, we got to go to the Capitol. He's directing people there. And then there's the video of him talking into the guy's ear, and then the bum rush starts. So he is at the forefront. What's interesting to me is during the 60 Minutes piece about this a few days ago, Sunday, they mentioned that he was in the vanguard of the first assault on the Capitol Police and the barricades. They said that, and then went on literally like the next sentence to say it was a convoluted conspiracy theory, the whole thing. So that's kind of weird, first of all, because you're going to admit right now that he's at the forefront. He's the guy pushing at the front, and there's multiple videos showing this from the top and from multiple angles. And then say it's convoluted conspiracy theory that he was somehow involved in the incitement of this in the first place. And they really focus on that he was an FBI government agent. And then at the end, they say they talked to the FBI, and the FBI said, no, he wasn't. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess he wasn't.
Well, I just quickly, from what my read, the 60 Minutes interviewer, I don't remember the name of the guy who did it. The black guy who was the interviewer, I forget his name, but I remember when he brought up that moment when he was the quote-unquote vanguard, even though he didn't directly engage in violence, when he was at the front when the gate was being torn down, he tried to basically separate himself from what happened. And the 60 Minutes interviewer says, what he said directly, he says, you were a part of it. And he's like, well, right. But I didn't do it. So I don't know if I would say, they completely try to remove him of any responsibility. They were specifically saying he was a part of it. And he did try to incite people, at least the day before. The day of, it's a little bit more washy because he's saying go to the Capitol. Trump did the same thing. So if we want to get him on incitement for that, I guess we can also try to, pin it on Trump as well.
But here's the thing is that like there's this huge, so Biden said that January 6th was the worst thing since the Civil War, and there's a lot of other comparisons like that in the media, like comparing it to Pearl Harbor and all this shit, like crazy shit. And you have
I think it's more like Waco probably.
Okay, but
I'm kidding,
you just have this like real, like you have this focus on the QAnon shaman who didn't do anything. Like he didn't do anything. He went in, and came out. That's pretty much it.
There was because he's weird and the media likes sensational.
Yeah, but
shit.
they made him like the focus of an insurrection. Like you guys, it's weird that there's this huge emphasis to demonize anything related to January 6th, but this one guy who is on video inciting people into the thing at the forefront of the thing. And I have a video that shows he was actually involved in the violence. Like, he wasn't partaking in violence, but he was in the mob that was, and he said that he was just trying to break it up. Like, he literally was telling people to go into the Capitol the next day. Like, come on.
The previous day.
And when that first officer went down, he's like, why didn't you go help the officer? And he was like, oh, I saw a billy club and I thought they didn't want. Like, if you look at that video, and I point out in my video, it's one of the protesters that runs up and helps the officer, but they just kind of brushed right past that. It's, to me, what is most visible to me is what the media wants to deflect from, does not want to focus on. And it's odd to me that the one guy that's on video, so Trump told people to go to the Capitol and make he said, march peacefully and make your voices heard. And we have to fight back. Well, which fight back
Ray
is
Epps
a very
said to
common.
Do it peacefully the day before too.
Right, and fight back is a very common political term. I mean, that's used all the time, especially by KJP used that right after the shooting at that Christian school. Like, she used that language. So you really cannot blame Trump for what happened there. So 120,000 people went to the Capitol to protest peacefully. Out of that, around 300 were charged with violence with the police, and another around 1,000 charged with going inside and trespassing. So all this shit around January 6th is based on what 300 people did. Is it really that far out to believe that Ray Epps is the one who incited 300 people?
I'll let Dylan go, then I want to go.
I would say that is a little far out to say he was the one who did it. Definitely when he got such
he was working for multiple days to do it. He's on video doing it.
Okay, so the day before, when he tells people to go to the Capitol, everyone start yelling at him, fed, fed, fed. He gets an extremely negative reaction. He then reverses course and says, peacefully, peacefully, peacefully. He got a negative reaction. To say that he was like the primary motivator, he was the one instigating it all, I just don't think he's that powerful, that intelligent, or that good to coordinate all of this. And I think you can tell from the way he behaved and the way he's behaved afterwards that he's not a particularly intelligent guy. I don't think he even could have orchestrated it if he wanted to. He can say he orchestrated it because he said people go this way, but if that's all it took to orchestrate it, then there were like 1,000 people there who orchestrated it. Because when I was at the Capitol, I heard people say, we're going to the Capitol, everyone. Are they all now orchestrators? Are they all now feds? Everybody who told me that this is the way we're going after Trump himself said to go that way. And let me just quickly say, there's two things we could talk about here. The first thing is whether or not Ray Epps did something wrong. I think he did something wrong. I think anybody who bought into the idea the election was stolen or rigged did something wrong. I also believe that the day before he was inciting something. I don't know if you could get him on it legally. The FBI decided they probably couldn't or wasn't worth their time. But I do believe he did something wrong. And I also believe his excuse of, I didn't help them up for this reason, I think he's trying to cover his ass because it looks bad for him to be somebody who's supposedly pro-cop, supports the police, to just kind of be standing there as everybody's bashing in these cops when he, the day before, was saying, go to the Capitol, we need to go into the Capitol. So that's one thing, whether or not he's a good guy or he's done something good. That's different from whether he's a fed, which I don't think there is any substantial evidence for outside of largely hearsay. And we can say, is it possible? Well, I guess of course it's possible, but he hasn't acted like a fed. If he's a fed, he's a pretty shit fed.
Can I ask you this? Like that video, that portion of video you're talking about, when that's Baked Alaska, by the way, he was the one, well, he's the one in video talking to him. But when he says that, when he says, we need to go into the Capitol, Baked Alaska or somebody around him is like, what? Everyone's like, what? You can hear that. They're like, that's insane. That's crazy. Like that wasn't even a concept to these people until he said it.
I don't think he was.
That's on video.
I don't know if I don't think he was the first person to probably think about going into the Capitol. But you know what I'm
talking about, right? They do say that, right?
Well, yes.
They're like surprised that he says that.
Well, yeah, I think
that's what inspires them to call him a fed.
Everybody was surprised the day of when people ended up storming the Capitol. Nobody expected it. No. I didn't expect it. You said they're surprised, but on this video, he called for it. And these people were like, what the fuck? Yeah, he called for it, but that doesn't mean he incited them all to do it. What do you think is more likely?
There was only 300 people who actually took part, just so you know. That's right?
I mean,
so
you mean 300 people who were charged, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean there's only 300 people who took part. That just means those are the people they caught and they charged. I mean, there's a lot.
Well, there's tons of video. I mean,
we've seen tons of like riots in the past where people have got arrested, but a lot of people get away, right? We don't really know the real number, but we do know that it probably wasn't the majority of people who were there, but there were people there who participated. And I just find it hard to believe that those 300 people were all incited by Ray Epps, or all the people who went inside were all incited by Ray Epps. Definitely, since
how did Ray Epps
himself never engaged in violence and never went into the Capitol. He never went into the Capitol. He incited the day before. So my question to you is,
and the day of,
what did he do the day of?
He was on video saying we need to go to the Capitol.
So
and he
Trump.
was on video he was right there when the initial assault started, and he's there on video whispering this.
That's how it works.
He's there literally whispering to somebody's ear as the assault starts, which they talked about in that 60-minute piece.
That is nothing. I mean, like, if you can charge somebody for being present when violence takes place,
the same guy that was inciting for multiple days,
the vast majority of people who are at that event, because I saw so many people be present when violence took place, whether it was the destroying of the cameras of the reporters, whether it was the bashing of the police. I saw a lot of people just stand there, whether in shock or just not knowing what to do when violence took place. Should we charge all of those people? Are they all inciters now?
Go ahead, Kalak. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I really took issue with the 300 number. Like Dylan said, that was just the number of people charged. I have video on my channel where there was a bunch of people trying to break into the Capitol for the second time. I don't think Ray Epps incited those people, but yeah, they were trying to break into the Capitol for a second time.
Well, once the initial riot begins, whatever happens after that through the free flow of a riot should be blamed on the initial ignition source, right?
Anyway, there was a bunch of people that were trying to break in. They were using flags and riot shields to bash the cops that were protecting it, and everyone there was, while they were trying to push in, was saying heave, hove, heave, hove in support of this effort to be violent and get into the Capitol. So like the idea that these people weren't a part of the violence is kind of silly in my mind. The other thing that I took issue with was this the idea that all Trump did was say go to the Capitol and be peaceful. Trump was
I didn't say that. I also say he said fight back or whatever.
Okay, well, that's none of that's even important. The important part is that Trump orchestrated this whole idea that the Democrats were stuffing ballots, and there was a lot of fake ballots being for Biden being dropped off at 3 a.m. And he orchestrated this whole narrative that turned out to be fake.
Okay, so what?
That ended up rallying up people to break into the Capitol. That's the part that really.
Who cares?
I can tell you what.
That's nothing new. I mean, Hillary Clinton. Look, guys, I've talked about this a million times. Democrats have denied every single election they've lost since the year 2000. They denied the 2000 election. There was violence at Bush's inauguration. They literally attacked his motorcade. He had to speed out of the fucking inauguration parade. All right, that had never happened. It happened because Democrats lost the election. They thought it was stolen. Like, do you guys realize that?
And then it happened again. It happened again in 2005. You cannot compare what happened in 2000 to what happened.
It's an escalation. It's a gradual escalation.
You cannot compare the hanging chads and then Al Gore being like, "I guess I lost. It is what it is."
It wasn't just hanging chads.
And then floating into political obscurity to Donald Trump to this day, not accepting the results of the election and still running on election denial. I can compare it to the 2016 election and Hillary's non-acceptance. We're all pivoting off of the point.
Okay, now, I can just say that.
Back to this though. If your argument is that he incited violence by just being present and whispering to somebody, but it isn't Trump isn't inciting violence by creating the narrative that made the environment possible for violence and then telling people to go to the Capitol, the same thing you're criticizing Ray Epps for. I just feel like there's a double standard for that's violence but isn't violence when Trump does it.
No. The double standard is between what you're accusing Trump of and what Ray Epps is.
No. I don't believe. No. I didn't bring that up to say Trump did the violence, or we think Trump necessarily incited the violence. I can't say that at the end of the day because he wasn't that direct about it, right? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I can't really say. But with Ray Epps, like everything that you're criticizing Ray Epps for when it comes to go to the Capitol live, Trump did that. Trump did that. And when it comes to whispering in somebody's ear,
to go to the Capitol and march peacefully.
What am I supposed to do with Ray Epps whispering in somebody's ear?
I will tell you what you're supposed to do. Apply the same standards as they're applying to Trump to Ray Epps.
Well,
okay, wait. Okay,
so
why Trump? Okay, so I just need to find like Trump whispering in somebody's ear. Like, what do you mean? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? We have no clue what he said.
Here's the thing. So Trump, I can see what you're saying here, and I think you have a bit of an argument here for that. Only in that, Ray Epps, essentially you could make, I think it's different personally. I think it's a bit different in Ray Epps' case, but I can see the point that you're making here, except for the reaction to those two things. And so I do have an answer to this. So if Ray Epps is not a government agent, which he may not be, that may be true. There's got to be an explanation to the reaction to him, because obviously a guy on video inciting freaking people to enter the Capitol, he should be enemy number one, right? But he's not. So the answer to that, to me, is that they think if Ray Epps gets blamed for inciting the riot, then they can't blame Trump, or because he's closer, he's at the epicenter. You cannot. It deflects from Trump. And so I think the only other explanation to all of this would be that they see Ray Epps as a barricade to them blaming Trump. What do you think about that? Number one, I would probably need like some evidence of it, like some document or like some statement that would be like something. Well, I mean, we're talking about things you're never going to get that on.
Well, I mean, like anything really outside of, because this is like a narrative, but outside of it, there's nothing else to this.
What?
Outside of it just being, there's nothing to this outside of it being a narrative. There's no statement from a government official that would suggest this. There's no anything from anyone.
But there is a pattern of behavior from both the media and Democrats that we can compare to.
Is not enough to make the allegation that there is a conspiracy to let Ray Epps get away with a crime in order to pin it on Trump by the federal government.
How do you explain how he's getting away with it?
The explanation.
All we ever hear.
Do you want the explanation?
Let me present this, Dylan.
Okay, well,
let me explain this. Let me throw this out there. All we ever hear from the left is that the First Amendment has limits, and they always talk about the limit being shouting fire in a crowd theater, right, Dylan? Is this not that?
So the day before, this is what happened, and this is what we're gonna charge Ray Epps for, because everything else, like whispering in someone's ear, you've been sentenced to the chair for whispering in someone's ear.
He's on video for days.
The only thing, the strongest argument you have is the thing he said the day before, when he said we need to go into the Capitol, because that is him saying you do a crime. Right, the stuff that people got charged for.
He's at the forefront at the initial assault.
Standing somewhere
he's at the
where
forefront
a crime
at the
happens
initial
does
assault.
not make you guilty of a crime.
Dylan, will you say that? Will you admit that?
Being at the forefront does not make you a criminal. Right? That's not a crime.
Bullshit.
I was at the forefront of violence.
How's he not
on
enemy number
places.
one in the
Why,
media?
Should I be arrested?
Why is the shaman enemy number one?
Can you answer my question? Should I be arrested? Because I was present when the press were assaulted, and I recorded it, and I saw it. I was right there.
Obviously not.
Why not? Because it's the same thing. He was there, and I was there.
You didn't do anything.
He
didn't do anything either. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't go inside. He incited the day before.
And
then he immediately walked it back. This would be the equivalent of, okay, let's say.
What?
The thing is,
there's a riot. I walk it back.
To be clear, he walked it back the day before the riot happened. The day before.
No, he didn't. He says that now.
Okay, I can't yell over you. I can't.
I'm sorry. I know you can't. I know you can't.
The day before, he says, we need to go into the Capitol. He's advocating for a crime. Then the crowd's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And he's like, peacefully. And he's walking it. He immediately walks it back. That is the only thing you could charge him with. And you know what he's going to say in court? I immediately walked it back. And then your argument to a judge is going to be that 2 seconds between him saying going to the Capitol and then peacefully him walking it back, that needs to get him guilty and in prison for something. It's just that you're not gonna do it, and that's why it was.
Also,
Go ahead.
Is there even such thing as like an attempted to incite a riot? Like if you try to incite a riot and nobody follows you, like can you actually get charged for that? Because nobody followed him that day.
I have no
That's
clue.
a good question. But
Like-
I would think here's my
There
thing.
might not
I would
even be a
think
law to get him on.
that in the so-called premier event in modern history to occur, that the guy who is on video inciting that riot might be a central
But he
figure
wasn't on
in
video
public
inciting a riot.
enemy.
He was on
To
a
be
video
clear,
the
you're
day
making
before.
you're making it sound like that they didn't at all care about him. They put out a wanted poster for him, and they looked for him. That's how they
He was
found
never
out.
arrested or
And then they
charged.
sat down with FBI agents. They had a conversation. What were they going to arrest him on? We arrest you on saying go into the Capitol the day before walking it back. You're going to get the chair.
Do you know what plausible deniability is?
Yes, I'm familiar with plausible deniability.
Okay. It's all up in this shit because everything, it's all like, it's so perfect. It's like,
Almost like it didn't happen.
no, I mean, like we know the Capitol officers like let people in, and we know that happened. We know the FBI before any of this even happened, like with the whole rushing.
When
in,
you say
everything
let
the
them
FBI was
in,
involved in,
This was after they broke through multiple police lines and they were entering through other parts of the building.
all right,
like
the
just speak
police
because you
lines
just
that
make
got
it
broke
sound.
through, Dylan, the police lines that you just referenced that got broke through, who led that?
Not Ray Epps. What do you mean he led it?
Oh.
What does that mean? He because he was standing there.
Was he or was he not at like?
Dude, then
maybe
I led the violence
one or-
against the
one or
reporters.
two people
I was
behind the
there.
people
I
that were
was,
rushing.
I was right there when the reporters were assaulted. I filmed the whole thing.
I think I need to show
led
the
it.
video.
I attacked the
on.
report. It was me. I
Let me find the
orchestrated
video.
all of it. I hate the press. I'm a terrorist.
You were not on video orchestrating it.
What do you mean? Do you have video
He
of him
said,
orchestrating?
and that's another thing. Hold on.
Of the
That's
day
another thing is that
before,
he
and-
admitted he orchestrated it.
He told somebody else that he orchestrated it. Yeah. What are you going to do
He
with
told his
that?
nephew he orchestrated it. Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
And then he told during his 60 Minutes interview, he's like, oh, that was a silly word. My wife scolded me for it. Like, I'm just like, my mind
I think he
explodes
wanted to
at
take
the
credit
fact
for
that we're
something
even like,
that
this
he
is
couldn't
even
take credit
happening.
for. Happens all the time. I think he was a braggadocious moron. You're laughing
How
at
is
that.
he not
That's
enemy number
ridiculous.
one,
Why you
Dylan?
don't have any hard
guys
evidence to
tell
support
me.
anything you're saying?
You
But
guys
you're
tell me,
laughing at
how is
us.
this guy not enemy number one?
I've already told you. Do you want me to tell you again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is the one thing you could possibly get him on, and you just admitted earlier you don't even know if you could get him on it because you don't even know if it's a crime or not. He says we need to go into the Capitol, gets a negative reaction, immediately walks it back. That's the closest thing he's done to a crime. The rest of it,
He didn't walk it back.
The rest of let me be clear. The
He
rest
said
of your
peacefully,
the
which
rest
is
of
what
your-
the people who were charged did.
Wait, when you say peacefully, they didn't
Right?
peacefully
Thousands
break through the
of
police
1,000
lines. They
people
didn't
who were charged
peacefully
with
smash the
trespassing were
windows.
peaceful. No.
Wait,
The
wait,
people
no.
who were
They weren't
peacefully in the
charged.
Capitol, they were charged with trespassing.
They were
Yes, I'll
actually,
show you.
They were
I'll show
charged
you.
with trespassing, but many of them were sentenced not on trespassing. They were sentenced with stopping an official government process, which was the certification of the vote.
Right. He
That is
told
what
them
they
to
got
go
on
in
the
and do
January
that.
6th
He
rally.
told them to go in and do that.
And then he walked it back immediately. And
Bullshit.
the idea,
Bullshit.
let's be clear. When you look at all
Bullshit.
the people,
That's
you
bullshit.
when you look at
Sorry, go ahead.
when you look at all the people that committed crimes, they either went into it and they stopped the certification of the vote. They either bashed cops over the head. They all these crimes that actually happened. And you're an FBI agent. You're going through all these lists and you're putting out all these photos, including Ray Epps. Then you sit down for the Ray Epps interview and you look at all the evidence. And this is what you have. He was standing somewhere. He whispered in somebody's ear. Okay, well, there's not really much there already.
I'm getting the video. We're going to show it.
The best thing you're going to have is the day before he said, go into the Capitol, but then walked it back once he got a negative reaction. That's him advocating for people to do a crime he didn't even go through with. He didn't even get close to going through with it. Once it came time to be violent, he didn't be violent. He didn't at all. And so
That's not true, actually. I have I can show you a little clip of him at least in
you're gonna
very close proximity to it.
What does that mean? I've been in close proximity to the shells falling and like killing
Let me ask
civilians.
you.
Did I kill those civilians? Is that my fault? Is that my crime? No, that's silly.
You're
It's
the
silly.
guy
You're
who
near a
freaking told
crime.
them to be
You're near a
there.
crime, so now you're the criminal. Like, this is silly.
You're the guy who told him to be there. I don't know if we're gonna come to an agreement about that. Hold on, let me find this video real quick. It really bothers
You
me.
already
that 60
admitted you have
Minutes is
plausible
a
deniability,
conspiracy
by the
theory
way.
label. You don't think that's weird how the media like throws that label around a lot?
If you believe he's a Fed,
Have you noticed a pattern about when they throw that label? Have you noticed that at all?
definitionally, if you believe that Ray Epps is a federal agent, you're believing in a conspiracy. That is a conspiracy, just definitionally.
What about systemic racism?
Can you agree with me that though that just definitionally is a conspiracy?
Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to gauge it because what do you think about systemic racism? Is that a conspiracy?
I mean, like, it depends what you mean by systemic racism. Do you mean like racism?
The claim of systemic racism, is it a conspiracy?
Well, but there's multiple things you can mean by systemic racism. If you mean
there we go. Now it gets nuanced suddenly.
I'm sorry that you don't like this N-word. But when it comes to systemic racism, there's the idea that through the structures that we have built that sometimes have been racist, either through laws that we have passed, that they affect the institutions that we have today, right? And there's maybe another one that this would be an actual conspiracy, is that the government is secretly trying to like be racist and be extra racist, either like kill all the black people or just be like super duper racist to hurt them and stuff like that. That would be a conspiracy theory, yes, because you're alleging a conspiracy. A conspiracy is some secret plot or something along those lines. But if you're making an institutional critique about institutions having problems because of the laws and its history as institutions, that's not a conspiracy theory. It isn't a conspiracy to talk about redlining. It isn't a conspiracy to talk about, for example, the problem that comes with selling black people homes and how certain sellers of like homes will avoid selling them to black people at certain statistical rates. It isn't a conspiracy to talk about the problem when it comes to having black names on applications. Those aren't conspiracies. Those are just facts.
Okay. What does it change if you start blaming Jewish people instead of white people? I'm just wondering.
What? I didn't even blame white people.
So those things, like when it comes to systemic racism. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, so usually white people get blamed, but I'm just wondering if the definition changes if you change the group that you're blaming for all these things.
I'm confused at your question. Could you ask it again?
No, are you really?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just take everything that you just said and you establish as not a conspiracy. If I say instead of blaming white people for that, which is traditionally blamed for those things,
can I give a comparison?
If I change the blame for that to a different group, does it change? Is it a conspiracy theory anymore?
In Israel, there have been things that have been built into the systems that benefit Jews sometimes over other people. For example, their immigration.
I'm talking about America, though.
But you just wanted an example. I'm giving you an example of something that could be systemically discriminatory. The fact that any Jew can move to Israel if they want to, that's discriminatory. Why can't I do that as a non-Jewish person? Now, you can make an argument that that's a good thing because that's the land of the Jewish people. But why does the comparison have to be in America? I'm giving you an example.
Hey, I'm going to show a video here real quick.
Okay.
Not to deflect here, but this is what I was talking about. I'm just going to play it from the video here, okay? Media and Democrats always blame.
What exactly was the role of Ray Epps in the chaos of January 6th?
The theory, Epps, a former member of the Oath Keepers, was an FBI informant who incited the crowd on January 6th, bubbled up from a right-wing news site called Revolver News.
What are you talking about? It didn't bubble up from a right-wing news site. We have multiple videos of Ray Epps inciting crowds to enter the
cringe watching yourself on video.
I'm sorry. I don't want to. I couldn't find the exact spot. Here we go. It's right here, I think.
Epps may have led the breach team that first entered
I couldn't find the exact video I was looking for. Here we go.
The convoluted conspiracy theory made its way to Capitol Hill.
Seriously, what is going on here? Because 60 Minutes literally started out this entire piece by admitting that Ray Epps was with the, quote, vanguard that first entered the Capitol premises.
It's not the Proud Boys who engage in the initial breach. It's Ray Epps at that precise moment.
How did Ray Epps know that there were going to be pipe bombs?
Anyway, so that's the video you could see there. Hold on, let's see if I can get the actual. Damn it, I thought that was it. Sorry. So you guys saw that. Like, he is literally like right there.
Yes, I'm familiar with the fact that he was right there. We've all seen the 60 Minute segment.
What are we arguing at this point? Like, I want to know why he wasn't charged, why he's not enemy number one in the media.
This multiple times.
No, it's bullshit. Your answers are bullshit.
Well, because why you just don't like the answer? Because
why is the
standard
specifically for this man?
That's what you want. You want to arrest somebody for standing somewhere at the wrong time. Okay, you know what this is? This is like,
he is on video
standing somewhere. Yes, I'm aware.
Telling people to go to the Capitol.
So did Trump.
to go into the Capitol.
Oh, yeah, but he did that the day before, then walked it back. That's what you can arrest him over.
You keep saying that. Walked it back. How fucking convenient. No, he said peacefully.
Yeah, he walked it back.
Peacefully.
Good for him.
So
He's
you
really
think that's
lucky that
walking
he
it
walked
back? So you think that's walking it back?
I think
So then why are the people who entered the Capitol peacefully charged?
when you say entering it peacefully, like you mean like going? You mean
All these people who entered yes, the people who just walked in, stay in the velvet ropes, like the grandma.
To be clear,
the grandma who had cancer, who did jail time.
Let me be clear with my position. He advocated for a crime to enter the Capitol and interrupt an official government proceeding. Right. He advocated for it. He then did not go through with it. He then did not engage in violence, and then he went home. That's all that happened with him. And so when you look at all the cases out there, his is just not a major case. And he did it the day before, not even the day of the violence. So here's my question.
Inciting a riot, according to federal law, is defined as the act of organizing, promoting, encouraging, participating in a riot, and urging others to riot. That's what he fucking did.
Wait, all of those things, or just like one
that
of
he
those
orchestrated it. He even admitted he orchestrated it.
Hold on. There was no riot on the day that he said to go into the Capitol.
But he was there the day telling people to go there.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Let's say
yes. He was there the day.
Wait, let me ask you a question.
He was there the day it happened.
Wait, whether he was there the day, whether he was there,
he was telling people to go there the day of the cat.
Yeah, so did Trump. But just because he was there the day of,
told people to march peacefully. But he is the center. It's common, right? So did he. Here's where you're fucked up. Is that it's common knowledge in the media that he is to blame for January 6th.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he created certainly more to blame than Ray Epps.
He's more to blame than the guy on the ground telling people, going to crowds,
absolutely,
telling them
not
to
even
go into
a question.
the Capitol.
Not even a question.
I think that Ray Epps interacted with at least 300 people.
You think that Ray Epps actually inspired all of those people to do this?
He's engulfed in around 300 people in that first video.
Do you have evidence of him convincing a single person to engage in violence?
I'm just like, why do these standards suddenly pop up when we're talking about Ray Epps?
No. You just said he could have done it to 300 people. Can you give me an example of one person he encouraged to engage in violence and was like, okay, I'll go do it, and then engage in violence? Because the one time he did kind of encourage people to actually be violent, everybody reacted to him negatively because he's not a particularly convincing guy.
But you know what? The fact that we're even debating this is really weird because
I don't know. You invited us on.
Like, it's just weird to me. Like, everybody involved in January 6th is widely hated and reviled, and their lives are ruined. And grandmas go to prison for just walking in and walking out. But this guy is a victim, and he doesn't get charged. And he's poor him. And then when he gets interviewed on 60 Minutes, who does he blame? He blames the media's and the Democrats' favorite targets. It's Tucker Carlson. It's Fox News. It's conservatives. It's Republicans. It's white people. Isn't
that crazy that the person who's getting probably endless amount of death threats because people legitimately believe he's a federal agent? I mean, it seems like you believe he's a federal agent as well.
No, I gave you two options. He either was working with the government in some capacity, or he's a useful idiot for the media to make a victim so they can blame Trump. One of the two.
I mean, you can wait. So he's either the media is using him to just go after Trump, or
because he's the guy on video telling people to go to the Capitol. So if he's to blame for the riot, then you can't blame Trump. Which tell me about this.
I'm sorry. The idea,
Dylan, tell me about this.
This one random person nobody knows is the reason that the riot happened is so silly. I don't even think that's your real position.
Did you watch the 60 Minutes interview?
Yes, I watched it. You told me to, but I watched it.
All right. So the January 6th lawyer, the January 6th guy that they interviewed, he's like, "Oh, it's so dumb. There's no evidence for it, and the people who think that he's an agent are just ignoring the evidence, and they're ignoring what Trump said. But in reality, the January 6th committee are the ones who ignore what Trump said, because Trump said to march peacefully and make your voices heard, and that was actually never played during the hearings. They actually clipped that out.
So do you want to hear my explanation as to why Trump is more culpable?
Does that change your thinking?
Okay, so I was trying to explain 5 minutes ago why I thought Trump was more culpable.
Just gonna ignore me.
Right?
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
You ignored my other thing. You didn't let me even get into my point. Do you want me to explain why I think Trump's more culpable than him, or do you want me to answer your hypothetical?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I believe that Trump created an environment where violence was almost inevitable. If you genuinely believe that your democracy is being stolen by an elite cabal, by some people who are rigging it, by the evil Democrats, and that the truly democratically elected leader had it stolen from them, and he's telling you to go to the Capitol and to pressure Mike Pence into overturning the results of the election, even though Mike Pence doesn't really even have the authority to do so, once that doesn't work, you have a bunch of people at the Capitol of the United States thinking our democracy is dead. It was just stolen. Baseless, but our democracy is dead and it was just stolen. Now, if I genuinely believed that our democracy was dead and it was just stolen, storming the Capitol is the least you could do. Armed resistance with guns and bombs and grenades, that would be morally acceptable in my view if your democracy was actually dead.
Do you hear the
tree of
rhetoric
liberty
from
needs to be
Democrats and stuff recently? Like,
what
do you think the same about them and media talking about the trans stuff? I mean, it's apocalyptic.
What is this?
The stuff we're hearing, trans genocide and all this shit.
Is this just like a whataboutism, or what are we? Can we?
No, I'm just asking. Do you feel the same way about that?
If somebody is saying that like trans people are being genocided and we need to go do something to stop it, then obviously I think that that's like hyperbolic rhetoric and you shouldn't be engaged in that.
That's good.
Okay, now
good.
Back to what we were talking about. So if you believe that our democracy is being stolen, I believe violent action is not only okay, I think it is a necessity. And so that's the problem that was faced by those people, because they believe their democracy is stolen. Of course they're going to engage in violence. That's why it was such a terrible lie.
Tiny amount of people.
But if you have so many people at the Capitol that believe that, because all the people there, they believe the election was stolen. That was the whole point of it, was the Stop the Steal rally. That's what it was called.
But that's not unusual, as I pointed out to you. Like literally every Democrat election they lose.
There was nothing comparable to that in 2000.
Oh my God!
2000. By the time the inauguration process started on January 6th of the year 2000, by the time that was happening, Al Gore had already conceded. The process was over. George Bush was going to be president. There is no equivalent.
There is.
Then what's the equivalent rally? Where was the?
Because they launched the whole Russiagate thing, which is bullshit.
So they tried to storm the Capitol and beat up a bunch of cops. Like when did that happen in 2016?
Oh yeah. So during Trump's inauguration, there was a huge riot that encompassed a bunch of dudes that looked like ninjas dressed up in black uniforms, attacking people, breaking shit.
They were trying to stop the certification of the vote because they believed the election was stolen. I didn't know.
Getting there, they would have got into the Capitol, but guess what? It was blocked off for some reason. It's blocked off. I can prove it to you too. You want to see it? I can prove it to you. Hold on. I'll prove it to you.
Okay, you didn't.
I'm gonna prove it to you.
Okay.
So, like, literally, like every time Democrats lose, there's violence.
Do you know what this just sounds like? This just sounds like a big whataboutism anyway.
Right.
It's like,
that's what
I'm asking you,
dude,
because
Dylan, that's what left wingers always say. You guys have it programmed into your brain that like anytime
I can't
you're
talk over
called,
you, so I'm just gonna let you talk yourself out, and then I'll say what I want to say.
So once you guys get caught on your hypocrisy, you say it's whataboutism. That's it.
Okay, so my hypocrisy, I never said the election was stolen, ever. I never advocated for people to go to the Capitol and stop Trump from being inaugurated. When Trump was elected, I said, Trump is the president of the United States. It is what it is. You lost. It is what it is. I said it at the time. I was like 16 or 17 at the time, but that's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, but
now the problem I have is, the question was, is Ray Epps or Donald Trump more culpable for what happened? And Trump obviously contributed much more to the environment that created the violence that happened on January 6th. And you can't bring up a single example of Ray Epps directly inspiring somebody to go do violence, because the only example you can point to where he actually advocates for people to do something that could be conceived as violence, everybody reacted to him negatively.
Honestly, I think you're just defending Ray Epps because you're locked into this mode. You're locked into this mode.
Please. You're pivoting.
No, I'm not. Like,
respond to that.
Respond to what?
Respond to
what? No direct evidence. I have evidence of video of him inciting it. Like, what else do you want?
Listen to me at all.
No, I did. I listened to you, Dylan. I know what you're saying.
Okay, so who did he inspire?
Give me an example. You're so like.
Give me an
like,
example.
you have to be against whatever.
Give me an example.
Anybody
Drone.
from my side comes from. He's on video. That's my evidence. He's on video telling people to do exactly what happened.
300 people. Give me one.
What?
Yes, you did. You said he inspired probably 300 people to engage in violence. You said he engaged with enough people to inspire those 300.
He's on video, and
So who did he inspire?
At the front of the. He is at the. He is there the day. So here's my evidence. He is there the day before. Oh, shut up. He is there the day before, telling people to go to the Capitol, and then he is at the forefront, at the vanguard of the initial breach of the gates and Capitol Police. Boom. That's two. You disprove that. Like, fuck off. Like, you act like I'm the one coming in. No. You know what? I'm sick of this shit. Like, the evidence is on our side. Stop acting like I'm the one that's like, I'm coming at nowhere. No, what the fuck do you have on your side? You have nothing.
What do you mean?
All you have is like, I hate the people that are saying this, so I'm just gonna like tell myself that this guy had nothing to do with it, even though he's the guy telling people to do the thing that happened, and he's on video doing it. And this guy who, like,
what do you mean he was on video doing it? He didn't storm the Capitol. You said your evidence of him doing it is he stood
he literally
there.
Whispered into a guy's ear at the front, at the vanguard, the first.
Oh my God!
Do you think it's just? Do you think it's just a coincidence? So you think it's a coincidence? So you think it's
violence right now?
Dylan, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Dylan. Dylan, let me ask you this. Do you think it's a coincidence that he's the guy that was telling people the day before they entered the Capitol, and that he's the guy that was at the front, at the vanguard of the first breach of the gates at the Capitol? Do you think it's just
I don't think
total
it's a coincidence. I think that he believed the election was stolen. That's why he was there both days.
Okay. What's that mean?
That's why he was there, because he believed the election was stolen, because he was inspired by Trump.
And he just happens to be the guy that's at the front, the vanguard, that is breaching the Capitol initially, and he's also the guy that told people to enter the Capitol.
He didn't breach.
That's
He stood there. He didn't do anything.
I'm such an idiot. Oh my God, Ryan, you're such an idiot. Are you serious?
Said it, not me.
Are you fucking serious, Dylan?
I didn't know you.
I'm an idiot.
No, you
think
said
I'm
it.
an idiot?
No,
Dylan?
you said it. I didn't say it. You called yourself an idiot.
Dude,
I didn't call you an idiot.
No, I'm just like, no, I'm obviously being facetious here. Like, that's. I don't even. My brain can't fathom that I'm here arguing this.
Brain can't fathom a lot of things.
Something is wrong. Something's wrong that we're even arguing this.
Well,
Seriously,
you invited me on.
say,
I do think
Clark,
it's silly that
say,
I think it is silly that we're debating whether this guy's a Fed with basically zero evidence.
Well, I'm not even. I told you there's two possibilities. It's not just that, and it's not necessarily he's a Fed. He could be in a forum for multiple different outfits, or he could be just somebody that the media had, or that the government had something on, and they fucking blackmailed him. Who fucking knows?
Can he just be stupid?
There's something. There's something not right about this man, and the fact that you cannot admit that is very suspect to me.
I think that there is something not.
Do you guys have critically thinking brains?
No, I'm a Fed.
No.
Do you consider yourselves?
Me and Ray Epps.
I consider you, Dylan, to be a pretty smart guy.
Okay.
I think you're a pretty smart guy. I don't think either of you guys are idiots, actually. I think both you guys are smart people. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because my brain needs some sort of explanation for why you guys blow this off. I need to know why. It doesn't. Something is very wrong if you cannot explain this.
So if you really want my explanation, if I was prosecutors, I would have gone after everyone. Literally everyone I could have. I would have been a lot more aggressive in arresting people. I would have arrested a lot more people.
Ray Epps.
I would have also arrested Ray Epps, and I probably would have charged him. I don't think I would have gotten a sentence on him. I would have done it out of principle. I do it because I hate them.
Why do you dismiss
I like really don't like those people, because I saw that stuff like firsthand. It was also in my city.
The fact he wasn't charged.
Because I think they didn't charge him because they knew they couldn't get him on anything.
Bullshit.
What would they?
Bullshit.
They couldn't have.
Why isn't he
anything.
enemy number one? Why is the QAnon shaman enemy number one? Not this guy.
So tell me how strong the case is. Explain to me the strength of the case against Ray Epps.
I'm not going to do this anymore. We all know he's on video.
Case, not the conspiracy. He stood there and he whispered in someone's ear that could mean
shouting
something.
Fire in a crowded theater, or whatever the fuck we always hear. As a justification to silence right-wingers.
So it would be fire. Oh, never mind. Not a fire. Not a fire. And then
you're telling me if a right-winger...
The next day... Wait. The comparison would be, and then the next day, people get trampled. That would be the comparison.
He was there the same day.
I feel like I'm cussing the liberal cuck. I've been speaking a lot, and he hasn't been speaking as much.
Go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead. It's 3:00, man. You're in Ukraine. Have fun.
No, but he was there the same day. It wasn't just the next day. It was the
Yeah, so
same
he
day.
goes the next day, and then there's a trampoline, but he didn't yell fire that day. What are we supposed to do with that?
Fuck that, dude. Fuck that.
But that is
Come
what
on,
happened.
man. Like,
That's
why
what-
are you
that's li-
playing
that's-
dumb, Dylan?
What I just
are
said
you a
is
government
true.
agent? I'm starting to
Yes.
wonder about you.
Yes.
I'm honestly starting to wonder about you. Are you working with the CIA?
You're saying
Dylan?
the same thing about me.
You are in Ukraine.
That is true. How did I get the access?
You are. How'd you get there?
How did a 22-year-old get embedded
Hey guys,
in minesweepers?
I did not kill myself. Okay, everybody, I did not kill myself. Dylan, what's up with you, man? Are you working for the CIA or the FBI? Or...
Absolutely.
Honestly, like, it's just weird to me because I know you're a smart guy. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that you would make the argument that you're making because, like,
My
critically
argument-
thinking brain
My argument
can
isn't
see
that
through this
my
bullshit.
argument isn't that like Ray Epps is a good guy. My argument isn't that Ray Epps didn't even necessarily advocate for a crime. My argument is that I don't think the legal case against him was strong enough for them to go forward on it, and I don't think he's a Fed. These
okay.
are two ridiculous.
Screw that. Screw all that. Why is he not enemy fucking number one in the media? Why was the QAnon shaman enemy? Why was why was Ashley Babbitt? Why was the woman?
I can tell you why
patient
those two-
grandma. Why was she the focus?
Okay,
Why
I
was
don't remember
not
cancer patient
this
grandma. I don't
guy
remember that
who's
character.
on video for multiple days telling people to go in the Capitol? We got to go in the Capitol, and that's where our problems are. So he was either working for the government, telling people to go there, or he was just some chud. But he's a chud who is to blame. And so if we blame him, we can't blame Trump.
Those are
We
not
can't-
the
and
only
then we
two
can't
possibilities.
use that as
You're
propaganda.
putting too much power in this person's hands.
There's no
to try to
propaganda
remove
victory,
responsibility
and
from the others who are
there's-
actually responsible.
No, use your brain. There's no propaganda in using Ray Epps as there's nothing there. But Trump, there is. Ray Epps, if he's to blame, there's nothing there.
So
There-
the
you
reason
can't
why
really
they
use
talk
that.
about Ashley Babbitt is because Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed, and so obviously
no
she's
reason.
gonna. Well, she was
The guy who shot her is a hero.
I mean,
The guy who shot her is a hero.
I don't know if I
Suddenly shooting at our people's heroic.
I
Yeah, they said
But
he
what
got
is-
interviewed on 60 Minutes. They called him a hero.
look. I back the blue. Okay, personally, I back the blue. But when it comes to like the QAnon shaman, like the QAnon shaman was wearing a ridiculous headdress, goes into the Capitol actually the day of, and was a big QAnon guy and a pretty big whack job. And so it's pretty easy to film that person and bring attention to them. Let me tell you, I filmed a lot of people at like a lot of protests, and it's always the craziest characters, the ones saying the weirdest stuff, the wildest characters that get the most attention in the media. And the QAnon shaman was a crazy character. Of course, he's going to be like the person people talk about afterwards. If somebody like, remember the Brazilian version of the like January 6th people talked about, where the Brazilians, there was like a Brazilian January 6th. If there was a guy who did that in like a lobster outfit, and he was like, I believe that Lula is actually the son of Elvis Presley, and he was like some crazed whack job, that would have been the symbol for the Brazilian January 6th.
Well, during that 60 Minutes interview, like one of the first points they make is that Ray Epps stood out amongst the crowd, and he's like, why would he stand out so obvious if he was an FBI agent? So like they even made that point that he stood out. So I just want to make that point.
Well, he stood out, but he doesn't stand out like the QAnon shaman, and you know he doesn't stand out like the QAnon shaman.
He does. Nobody else.
Really?
He totally.
Really? Okay, so
Okay,
you're
well
telling me
that's your.
you're telling me if I put QAnon shaman next to this guy, you're going to be like, these are two people of equal.
I would say they're
interesting
both
factors to the media.
characters. I would say they're both interesting characters. Yeah.
Not at
hold on.
all. Not at all to the same extent. It's not even.
All right. Well, let me just
comparable.
here. Let me just. Can I just play?
You should
the
have a better
point that,
content brain on this. You're like you're a YouTuber. You should know this. This is better content brain.
I do know this. I do know this. What are you talking about? Hold on one second. Let me get to the point that I'm talking about exactly. All right, one second. This might be it. I'm not sure. One second. It's hard when I'm not actually hearing it. Oh, geez, this is super serious. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. I got it. All right. damning, combined with his own testimony in which he admits to orchestrating the riot. All right, so that was what.
Why do we keep playing your own videos?
Somehow, because I put all these little tidbits in here. Hold on one second. I thought that was it. 1 second. There's a point where they address.
I got 10 minutes left, by the way. Okay.
All right, hold on. They address this actual specific point. I just want to go to that. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. And he's now out of prison because the FBI and the government video for multiple days inciting time on the QAnon shaman. And he's now out of prison because the FBI and the government purposely withheld footage. Well, anyway, there's one point they mentioned the fact that Ray Epps himself was very obvious. Like he's very in the crowd. He was a very obvious person. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's just my point. Is you were making a point that,
but the QAnon shaman is not somebody being sticking out because they're tall is very different from sticking out because you're wearing a costume and you're when you're in the conspiracy theorist scale, you're not a 3 or 4, you're a 10.
Stop.
He believed in the adrenochrome, human trafficking, QAnon. He bought the Pizzagate, he bought all of it. He was obviously a better character to portray the craziness of January 6th. Absolutely. And that's why the media stuck to him, because he was interesting.
I need a bathroom break, guys. I'm right back.
So this has been fun.
Yeah. What do you think what do you think of this so far?
I think Dronetek has a very conspiratorial mind that has the same patterns with every single topic he ever talks about.
Damn.
You'll start with something specific and then it'll always broaden out and end up with the media at some point. The media is always involved.
He does really not like the media.
Yeah, and that's understandable. But the thing you're trying to get at with the QAnon shaman is that the media has a very sensationalism bias.
Absolutely.
They have a bias towards sensationalism. He thinks that it's some other bias, some bias against Trump. Yeah.
By the way, that's not a compliment. I don't think there's a good thing. I think the sensationalism is bad.
Yeah. Right. Why is Ray Epps not being covered as public enemy number 1? Well, he didn't really commit any crimes. He's not interesting like the QAnon shaman. He wasn't violent. The media tends to focus on the violent people more so than they do anyone else. Just look at how they treated BLM. But you can't convince them of that. There's no way to convince them of that.
The thing is, it's the day. How would the media have portrayed this? Hello, everybody. Did you know the day before this guy said people should go into the Capitol, before then saying peacefully, he inspired it all? No, that's ridiculous. Of course he didn't inspire it all. He's just not that imposing of a figure to have done that. He doesn't have that influence. He's a relative unknown. And the day of, he was just telling people to go towards the Capitol. We didn't see him advocate for anybody to be violent. The day of, he didn't engage in any violence. He didn't enter the Capitol. The only time he actually advocated for something that could be considered violence, he immediately got a negative response. So it's hard for me to believe in the 24 hours following that, he was able to inspire enough people to engage in violence to call us January 6th.
Yeah, I think that the most damning evidence to Dronetek's point, and this is only in the court of public opinion, not so much the court of law, because I don't think this would hold up in court of law, is the text message to his nephew, but that could just be explained by him being an idiot.
No, here's my thing. It's it's weird to me how dismissive you guys, or how quickly you guys are to defend this man. And it feels to me like it's purely partisan. This guy, the media defends this guy, so we're going to defend this guy.
You know that
that's the way it seems to me.
The exact reverse, right? Because it's you said there's only 2 scenarios that you can expect, right? You said that the only 2 scenarios is
purely logically
is that he's a Fed, or that it's part of that they don't want to acknowledge it because he was the real culprit, right? And you can't even acknowledge the idea that it could be possible that people are playing connect the dots when there's just no dots to really connect. Things can look suspicious, things can look sketchy, and there could be nothing there. Happens all the time.
Look at this.
That's how people get sentenced when they weren't the actual people who committed the crimes. It happens all the time.
The article I have up right now about the QAnon shaman, he was released early because Tucker played footage that was not shown during his trial.
Not true. That's not why he was released.
No, it is true.
Prove it. Give me any court statement. Give me any evidence of that.
Why was he released early? Right after that footage was
good behavior.
There's so many coincidences. You're just like so
to be clear,
willing
if somebody,
to accept.
unless somebody is, I don't know how. Okay, I don't mean to be insulting. I don't know how much you know about the prison system, but if somebody is not denied parole during their sentencing, usually they don't serve the majority or the entirety of their sentence. They usually let off early to some extent, unless they're sentenced without parole. Like he was going to most likely be let out early.
Especially on trespassing charges. You get, so I don't know how DC is, but in Virginia, if you do something like trespassing, you're only going to serve 50% of your time if you get your maximum good behavior points.
Yeah. Well,
why is that why is that impossible? Can you tell me how are you so certain that it must be the release of the footage and can't be he was released early on good behavior like a lot of people are all the time?
It just it happened literally like 2 days after Tucker Carlson released that footage, and it came out that footage should not have been allowed. During his lawyer said that,
but you said it so confidently. You didn't say, "Man, isn't that suspicious?" You said that is the reason. You said it was.
No, I'm saying dude, there's just there's a lot of weird.
You're connecting the dots. Yeah, I know.
Wait, 2 seconds. It would be possible that there was some kind of evidence that wasn't presented at trial because the QAnon shaman could have had a shitty lawyer. This happens all the time. But in order for him to get out early based off of new evidence, you have to have a whole other trial. And it should be pretty easy for you to prove that there was another trial to get him out early.
Right. They avoided that by letting him out on good behavior.
How do you have evidence? Do we have any evidence that was the reason they let him out?
No, that's the thing about all this stuff. Plausible deniability. We're wallowing. We're all we're
in a. You know what I do for a living.
One second. I only have 3 minutes left.
It's called earned sentencing good.
Right. We're gonna wrap this up here.
Okay. I only have 3 minutes. I just want to say the thing is with plausible deniability is sometimes things are plausibly deniable because they also just didn't happen.
But it did. He's on video doing it. The Ray Epps is the topic here. We do though, because he's on video saying it. He's saying go to the Capitol.
Yeah, so did Trump.
It's so weird to me. You guys are working so hard to pretend that never happened.
I acknowledge. It was one of the first things I acknowledged when we started. I started by acknowledging the suspicious stuff and trying to give alternative explanations to your only two theories, the only possible two theories that you say are possible.
Right. What other theory do you think there is?
I already gave it to you.
You think he's just a guy that the media, the Democrats all see as a sympathetic figure who just happens to be the same guy who told people to go to the Capitol, who they say was an attack on the attack on democracy. The guy who told people to do an attack on democracy is a sympathetic figure.
The reason it became a sympathetic figure isn't because the reason he became a sympathetic figure in the eyes of many isn't because of the things he did then. The reason he became a sympathetic figure is because of the way he's been treated since then. Because people love it. Democrats and Republicans love this too. People love a turncoat where somebody used to be on this side and now they're on this side. You see it with, for example, Republicans consider.
Do you ever see it on the other side?
Yeah, remember
rarely.
Liz Cheney is an example for Republicans.
Well, yeah, Republicans. You see it on the Republican side a lot. Not so much. Yeah, but they hate her. They treat Republicans that turn on Republicans as heroes. They treat Democrats who turn on Democrats as horrible people.
Yes, the always. Republicans are going to treat Democrats who turncoat good, and Republicans are going to treat Democrats who turncoat good. Well, it depends on which media outlet, because Fox.
Republicans who turn on Republicans are good. Democrats who turn on Democrats are always bad. Always.
You're just saying the media, but I'm going to be okay. How did Fox treat Tulsi Gabbard? They had her host Tucker Carlson's show while she wasn't
there. I'm talking about NBC.
Fox is
CBS,
part of the media. Fox
ABC.
Hosted until Tucker Carlson was recently fired.
I'm talking about the majority of media, Dylan.
Most powerful.
Stop playing dumb.
Look, Fox News hosts the #1 show in all of cable news. That isn't a tiny part of the media. That's a big part of the media. That is
that's one channel though. That's one channel. All the other ones say something completely different.
Show. It is the biggest show. You can't just discount that.
You can't just discount the other media organizations being united in a narrative. They are ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, PBS, NPR, and New York Times, Boston Globe, whatever you want. They all are all united in a message and as a Democrat.
Do I just need to list off right wing or center right news outlets now?
Fox
Is that what
News,
I need to do?
Newsmax, OAN, which are Newsmax and OAN are pretty small fry. So you got Fox News. That's pretty much it.
Daily Wire, Breitbart. There's more than the ones you're
Yeah, but
mentioning.
those are like
here.
internet. It's not the same thing. It's not because TV news is what goes out to the unwashed masses.
The unwashed mash. Okay, it's 9 p.m. I gotta go. Actually, have to head out.
All right, all right, Dylan. It was fun, buddy. I thank you so much for being here. Seriously,
Awesome.
I know you are super busy. You're in a war zone. You're reporting shit that most people don't have the balls to report, and you're backing up what you believe in. I really respect it. Thank you very much. Everybody should check out his work.
No problem, man. You have a good
Good
one.
night. Be safe.
Nice meeting you. Bye bye.